Happy to commend the bill.
Excellent speech.
I call the Honourable Leanne Dalzell.
Mr Speaker, there are a number of features of this bill that fully meet the intent of something that's described as a tax administration and remedial matters bill, and that wasn't one of them. The gift duty, the abolition of gift duty, does not fit within the definition, the ordinary definition of tax administration and remedial matters. And that has been the opposition's number one objection to the use of this particular vehicle for the abolition of gift duty. It is a policy matter of some substance and deserves to be dealt with by a bill that actually addresses policy issues rather than just simply seeing it as a matter of tax administration. But there is a reason why this government's chosen it as a matter of tax administration, which I'll come to shortly. As members of this House will know, I'm a great fan of something known as a regulatory impact statement. Sometimes feel that I'm the only person that reads them, but on this occasion I know that isn't the case. I know that isn't the case because every member of the Labor committee on the Select Committee read this regulatory impact statement and they were unimpressed. They were so unimpressed that they actually challenged the content of the regulatory impact statement in their report back to the House. And I think that that is a significant issue and something that this House should take very seriously. If we cannot rely on the regulatory impact statement to provide us with the basis for quality decision making, then heaven help us, because actually the people of New Zealand put us here to do something a little bit more than a once over lightly, and the regulatory impact statement is supposed to offer slightly better than the options that they offered in this case. Let's look at the options, because I should make this point to the House, because I think members just don't get what the regulatory impact statement's for. What it's supposed to do is to identify the mischief that is to be remedied by the particular proposal that the government has adopted. It then identifies a range of options, different options that the government could adopt, choosing the least regulatory intervention all the way through to a major regulatory intervention. And you would put all of those options on the table, and then there would be a cost-benefit analysis, a risk-opportunity analysis. All of that work would be done, and that's where your regulatory impact comes in, and you would also then consult with major players. Well, the consultation on this particular one's been rather an eye-opener to me as well. But let's look at the options that the regulatory impact statement put on the table. The first option was to narrow the scope of gift duty. That was to look at the people that the previous speaker was talking about, the family trusts, the individuals, the closely held companies. We would then look at the concerns around income tax minimisation, social assistance targeting and defeating creditors, largely relating to gifts between those individuals, and so therefore look at limiting the rules around around gift duty to those particular individuals. The second option was to raise the threshold at which gift duty applies, noting, as the regulatory impact statement did, that the current threshold of $27,000 per annum for the gifting program was fixed in 1984 and had not been revised since then. And there was a view that that hadn't sort of kept up to date with inflation. And the threshold that I think the regulatory impact statement identified would be 78,291, but they said that that would dilute the gift duty's protective effect against those forms of targeted gifting by speeding up the rate at which assets may be transferred. But actually, getting rid of gift duty doesn't just speed it up, it actually completes the process in one fell hit. So I don't actually know why that was a good argument, but I'm sure somebody in the bowels of whoever wrote the paper will actually understand why this was the case. Option 3 was to remove the need to file gift statements for non-liable gifts. And this I found absolutely fascinating, because we've heard a lot of people saying about the 200,000 gift statements that have to be filed each year. Well, it's quite interesting, because the question that this actually states that the most significant part of compliance costs is not completion of gift statements, rather it is the annual drawing up of deeds of forgiveness which require engagement of a legal practitioner. That's it. So actually, all of this talk that we've heard about this huge cost to the government, about managing the compliance costs in relation to the completion of gift statements, actually doesn't stack up by their own regulatory impact analysis. Okay, so option 4 says to move to electronic systems. Well, actually, I was gobsmacked to find out that, in fact, they can't be filed by electronic means at the moment, and I don't actually understand why. It's to do with the original deed having to be filed along with the gift duty statement, which is then photocopied and returned by post. I'm sure we could do better than that. So I don't know why they ruled out... they actually say the financial outlay required to upgrade systems is expected to cost within the range of $1 to $7 million. Well, within the range of $1 to $7 million. Do you think Treasury could come up with a slightly better one? It actually sounds like the good old days when we were in government and we'd get quotes from the Ministry of Social Development as to how much it would cost to upgrade SWIFT for a minor technical adjustment to a benefit. It was always sort of millions and millions of dollars. But $1 million to $7 million to make it possible for the Inland Revenue to have a document scanned as an original document and signed off by somebody that would give it the status that it required. I cannot believe it. This says a lot, this document. And then the last option, of course, when they've only left just one option, the one that they wanted right from the start, repeal gift duty. And the thing that I find fascinating, and the previous speaker actually, she drew attention to this. She said, look, we're saving the private sector $70 million. Now, isn't that wonderful? We're saving people $70 million by getting rid of gift duty. Well, do you know how they come up with that figure? They come up with the figure on the basis that the average cost quoted by practitioners of drawing up the annual deed of forgiveness is $285 plus GST. So actually what she meant to say, that we're saving 225,000 people $285 plus GST each, so that they can have the benefit of not paying tax on what they're gifting to somebody else in order to divest themselves of their assets. And that's what this is about, because the government don't like hearing this, but this is about their priority. They're prioritising the same people they prioritised in the tax cuts. They said with the tax cuts that 10% of New Zealanders would get the bulk of the benefit, and that's what they're doing exactly with this. And that's what draws me to this line here, this paragraph 57 of the regulatory impact statement. The number one concern related to the repeal of gift duty from an income tax perspective has, until very recently, been the ability of individuals to reduce their taxable income by transferring their income-generating assets to a trust. High-earning individuals could transfer assets such as shares or interest-bearing savings to a trust so that the associated income accrues to the trustee. This would allow the income to be taxed at the trustee tax rate instead of at the top marginal personal tax rate. Now, listen to this. Up until 1 October 2010, this would offer a tax saving of 5%. However, alignment of the trustee and top personal tax rate from 1 October 2010 will remove this tax advantage. But that's the whole point. They reduce the top tax rate for their mates and now give them the total benefit by removing the gift duty as well. And so they're saying that it makes no odds because of a change that they've made to the tax system favouring the most high-income earners in this country over and above those that struggle to make ends meet every single week because of the price of milk, because of the price of fuel, because of the price of their groceries, which just go up and up and up. Mr. Speaker, this debate says a lot about this government's priorities, and we know exactly where this is going to take us as we enter into the election time, because the people of New Zealand will know perfectly well where that party's priorities lie, and it certainly isn't with average New Zealand, every New Zealander who sees themselves disadvantaged once more by this government.
Order. I call the honourable member Dr. Russell